Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the Premium Bandai exclusive, or P-Bandai exclusive, RG Tallgeese 2. Now, this has arrived on Saturday, and I finished building it, I believe I finished building this about 2 to 3 days ago, and here is the review now, because as I mentioned before, I have a part-time job, which I have to go out of my house early in the morning and then come back around 4 to 5 p.m. And with that time left, it's really hard for me to make or do anything at that point because I'm very exhausted from my work. But now I have some extra time, so here is the review. Now this is basically based on the previous RG Tallgeese, which I do not own, nor do I own the Master Grade version. But regarding the RG Tallgeese, I've heard a lot of good stuff regarding it. Some people claim it to be the best RG so far. Now, I'm not here to judge such thing because, once again, those who know me, RGs are not my favorite, grades. It's like, I don't really enjoy building them. But for me, this one, I do try out RGs time to time. That kind of interests me, or that makes me curious. And this was kind of one of them. So, as you can see from the start, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to ask if it's possible to do that pose. And as you can see, it is possible. But once again, the Dober gun is a little bit tight, a little bit longer than you think. So it does kind of get iffy when you're trying to pose it. So you need to really work your way through the thing. But as usual, let's start with the components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is the mobile suit itself, and then you get the Dober gun, you get the shield, and you get actually a special hand to do this pose, which I will show you guys up close later. Other than that, here we have, some people were asking if this came with the figure of the pilot, and here we have the pilot figurine. You don't get a normal standing, we get this famous pose, which a lot of people should know, those who watched Wing, and it's in pure blue, and it's very small. So that's that. Here we have the sticker decal sheet. I believe real grades don't get water slides, but yeah, we have all the shiny stickers and such, but I only use two, one being the eyes. The other one is the faceplate sort of thing, like the Leo-ish faceplate thing that uses a sticker. So yeah, it uses a golden sticker. So other than that, I did not use anything because I always have trouble applying these for some reason. Okay, so first of all, another thing I was not aware of, that you get two clear beam saber effect parts, which I wasn't aware that they gave this. But yeah, you get two clear beam saber, but you also get two of the usual beam saber effect parts. And two beam saber hilts. I just put one on here to show as an example. And yeah, and the beam saber hilts actually go behind the shield, so you can store it. Other than that, you get this part, which is another connector piece to the shoulder that connects the Dober gun to the shoulder as well, which I will demonstrate. But this thing does have a good range of movement. But once again, you're gonna have to get used to it because it's it has a interesting movement cycle like this. So yeah, so I'm gonna fold that back up, and then we have an action-based connector. So you can connect it to action base, and then we have a good amount of hands. Number one, we get two open hands, and then wait, what's this? Somehow we have a leftover piece right over here, and something's actually stuck inside this hand for some reason. Oh, okay, never mind. We have the trigger finger for the right hand, and the handle of the Dober gun is actually here because I didn't want to I just want to show you guys a demonstration. And then we have the fist again, and then finally we have the left trigger finger, I believe. Yeah. So in this case, you don't really get a multi-purpose hand. Each hand actually does have a purpose at this point. So yeah. Okay, now let's get on to the review. Now being a Premium Bandai kit, one of the few differences that you get, well, other than the color, is this special hand, which oh boy, you actually get this hand. Now this is the hand that kind of sparked my interest. You get a hand that's two open hands are one oh boy on top of on top each other, so you can do the pose. So this was another interesting hand, but the bottom side is kind of empty, which I guess is a good thing, so you can actually put in like the tip of the Dober gun properly. So yeah. Alright, so I guess I should put on some hands. Nah, I don't think I will. Okay, so let's start with the head. Okay, we're going on with the head. Now the head, I believe it's pretty much the same build as the original Tallgeese head, but the only difference is the faceplate and the eyes, and the mohawk, of course, because I believe the Tallgeese has a more visor-ish eye, while the Tallgeese 2 has a more Gundam-ish traditional eye. So the eyes are obviously a sticker, which I think I messed up a little bit on the other side, but the red scars on the faceplate, those are actually separate red pieces, and those yellow mohawks also separate pieces. So all the yellow you see is separate pieces. So the head movement, it doesn't really have that much. It can go down that much, up that much, and then 360 twist, well, it's possible. You just need to work your way around, and the head does kind of pop out a little bit easy than you think for some reason. Okay. For the body, once again, yellows are separate pieces. You do have an opening cockpit like that, but you don't actually get much detail regarding the cockpit. I mean, on the inside, there's not much. Okay, so now let's look at the shoulders. Now the shoulders, you have your forward and backward movement as usual, and then I think I'm going to take this part off. So regarding the shield, you do also get a shield. What the? Oh, there we go. So regarding the shield, you have another connector, and then this is where the connectors actually connect below the shoulders. And if you don't want to see those holes, you do have the option to cover it up like that. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to back up a little bit. And then the shoulders do move about 90 degrees to the side, despite having those big chunky shoulders. And then you have a double jointed bend regarding that, and then you have this nice folding action regarding the elbow. And this 360 twist is possible. And then you also have a 360 twist regarding the arm itself, but I kind of suggest you don't do that, because if those who know, if you built the RG Tallgeese 2 or some real grades, the way how you connect the arm to the shoulder, there's this small, teeth part, so you don't want to mess that part up. Okay, and then the shoulder does move on its own if you're kind of curious. And then here's the backpack. Now, I'm not sure this should be considered a backpack, because it's not really on the back, but it's rather, there's these connectors that's coming out from the main body, and then you connect these thrusters. So these thrusters does have a good amount of range movement. First of all, we have this first moving point right over here, which can technically move 180 degrees if you don't have the boosters on, or backpacks. And then we have another moving point on the end part, so you can move around these thrusters like that. Also, I believe we have another moving point on the thruster, so you can move it left to right like that, which is on the peg basically. Now, the thruster parts, I was pretty impressed, but of course, once again, a little bit too complicated for my taste. So you can open these parts up, and then reveals more boosters, and then you have the wing part. So when you open the wing, it also reveals the boosters inside. Oh, oops. And then you can flip open these two white parts to reveal another booster. And according to the manual, this is a sort of a switch thing, so it actually pulls out this part a little bit, but I'm having trouble doing that. So yeah, but that's how it's supposed to work. And that's that pretty much for the thrusters. And then for the main body, you do have an ab crunch right over here, so that's pretty good. And then you have 360 twist, not possible because some parts are colliding. And regarding the ab crunch part, there's actually some sort of latch over here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I believe this is actually to help maintain the kit to be like more stable or something. There's this part where you can push in a little bit. Oops, my bad. There's this part where there's this small part there's a hole, and up or in front of it there's actually another small peg, so you can latch it on. So I believe this is actually meant for if you don't want the Tallgeese to don't move its abs, you have to latch it on to there, so it doesn't have any stability issues. So yeah. All right. yeah, so with that latched on, the ab crunch is not possible anymore. So kind of an interesting gimmick, but I'm not sure if it was too necessary. Okay, now for the legs. So the legs were kind of interesting for me because, okay, the legs were just legs. Okay, I'm just going to say that, but there's no front skirt. There is a back skirt, but the back skirt also can be opened up and reveal more boosters like that, or thrusters. And then the side skirts were interesting because the side skirts, you have this small ball joint and then you have a hole that you can connect to like that. It doesn't really give you that satisfying click noise, but it works. And then you can also open these parts up, to reveal more stuff. But the leg movement was kind of interesting. Well, I'm not sure because I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, but the legs don't move as much as I thought. So without that ball joint connected, for example, the leg can go forward, not to, can go forward as usual, and then backward as much as it can until it collides with the back skirt, and we have a nice side swivel going on here, and then it can go. Well, I'm not sure. I'm okay. It can go 90 degrees to the side. Okay. So maybe I was doing wrong previously. And then the feet are your typical, well, I'm not gonna say typical, but you have a nice pivot going on here, left and right, and then you can go forward and backward. I'm not gonna say this is a ball joint because it's one of those, things that I'm not too sure about. And then the up toe part, which I believe the feet part is actually one of those pre-built inner frame things for the real grades. So yeah, you have the moving toe part. If I have to mention regarding the pre-built inner frames, there weren't much. That's a very good thing for me. The arms were the pre-built inner frames as well. So I believe the arms and the feet were mostly the pre-built inner frames. Okay, so but when I attach the ball joint to the leg, because of the way how the ball joint is connected, the leg will not actually go closer to each other. I'm trying to do my best, but as you can see, if I move the leg to the inner side, it will pop out. That's one thing. And then also with the ball joint connected, well, at least thanks to the ball joint and the way how the side skirts are connected, it doesn't actually have any problem moving forward because the ball joint and the connection here is actually being a ball joint. It moves pretty smoothly. And let's say we're going a little bit to the side, and there you go. The ball joint also pops out. So it's kind of tricky to do certain poses, I guess. Yeah, and let's see. Also, regarding the leg, you have a nice double jointed bend, and we have this nice knee pumping action. Of course, the inner frame. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I haven't tried the master grade version, but I don't know. For an inner frame, this does not look that very good for me. Although the way how you built the leg pieces were interesting because the way how you connect or cover up the inner frame parts was interesting actually. Okay. So we've seen the basics of the kit. Now let's see how it goes. Now another thing I'm still having trouble is the stability issues. I'm having a little bit trouble like properly posing this, or not posing. I mean trying to balance the kit while it's standing. I'm pretty sure it's the backpacks and a lot more stuff, but yeah, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, this is something I was expecting to happen anyway. Yep. Okay, so as a start, let's start with the Dober gun. First of all, where's the handle I had? I think it's this one. Yeah. The Dober gun, I'm very impressed. The handle of the Dober gun is actually on a ball joint, which is really interesting, but for a good reason. First of all, for the Dober gun, this can extend if you want to. It has that also pumping action. And then we have this part, the ammo clip part, that can be taken off if you want to do so. And we have an extra handle here, but I've seen, with all the pictures I've seen, there weren't much. I haven't seen any pictures regarding the kit, even in the promotional pics, holding the gun in two hands. So that's one thing I was not able to do. But the handle. Now with this, if you have the handle right here, it's actually very difficult. It's very difficult to make the mobile suit actually or kit hold it. But thanks to the gimmick here, you can put the handle to the side and then move the handle 90 degrees like this, and you can now properly hold the Dober gun with no issues at all. That is very good. And this is actually the way how the Tallgeese usually hold it. Of course, I'm not sure in the anime the handle was like this, but this is very good. So with this, you have no issue at all of posing or holding the gun in any like direction. And since we did talk about the Dober gun, let's talk about the connector regarding the Dober gun. So I'm gonna take off the hand or handle, and then where's the connector? There we go. Let's talk about how the connector works. So first of all, there's a hole there, and what you need to do is connect. There's a ball joint here. You just connect the hole to the ball joint. Oh boy, there we go. And then we have this piece right here, another peg, and all you need to do is plug it in. There we go, and then you have the Dober gun. Now, this part, I'm gonna admit, it looks kind of ugly because it's just too much chunk on the side. But hey, that's how it is. And if you want to do so, you can actually connect the Dober gun to the shoulder and connect, the Dober gun handle to, the hand if you want to do so. Of course, you won't get much movement out of this. I'm just gonna say that. There we go. You won't get much movement, so it's kind of iffy at this point, but it works. So same goes for the shield. Now, mostly I like to put. Now, once again, these connectors I'm having a little bit hard time getting used to, but it works. As I showed from the start, you can connect the shield like that. But if you don't like it, there is a separate handle here. But problem is, every single hand you get has one of those pegs in it. So if you do use the shield handle, it's going to be pretty wobbly. So I'm just going to say that. But as mentioned, from the start, you can plug the shield in. But since I already showed you guys that in the start, I don't think it's necessary. And this is how the beam sabers connect. So you can either pull it down or you can move it to the side, which the manual does tell you, and then pull it out. So that's how the shield works. Okay, I think I'm going to take off the Dober gun for now in both ways. Oh, actually, regarding the shield, I forgot to mention, all the blue sections of the kit have this nice glossy color, and then for the connector regarding the shield, I forgot to mention that the connector of the shield part is actually on a ball joint, not a normal peg. So you have a peg, so this actually does help the shield move a little bit better, but if you want to, you can push it in more so it doesn't actually move at all. And the movement, there's like multiple movements here, so there's one part here and then another part there, so there's two moving points. I'm not sure why a L shape like this or a large L shape part like this was that necessary, but I guess this does help out the connector to have like multiple angles, I guess. So you can move the shield around left and right like that with the peg connected, and you can move the shield upward like that, and the shield itself up and down like that, or you can twist it left and right like that if you want to do so. Same goes for the gun. So I haven't showed you guys this, but regarding that, if you have it, let's say you have this connected. Now this actually doesn't have much movement on it. So since it's on a ball joint itself, you have a little bit of movement up and down. That's one thing for sure. And then this one will control the angle, which I'm not sure if it's really that necessary. My question is, like, what's these parts for, the upper part? And because I had no reason to use the other connecting parts here, because these parts, number one, moves like this. So I guess this would so you would have to take off the gun and then lower the Dober gun. So if you want to have a more lower stance, that's okay. That I understand. But was this left and right moving part that necessary? That's kind of one of my questions. So yeah, I guess, because I want to show the beam saber, because what I was expecting regarding the hands of the beam saber was just a normal hand to hold the beam saber straight, but that's not the case. The handle is actually in an angled grip, so this is actually very good for thrusting or penetrating poses. Of course, if you just want to have a normal holding hand that has the 90-degree bend, it's going to be tricky. But I believe with one of the hands provided, it is also possible to have such normal hands. So here's another beam saber. Now, I don't like the fact that we have to use like this trigger finger-ish hand, but once again, there's a peg over here, and there's a hole on the beam saber. So this one actually has all the multi-purpose. I mean, not multi-purpose, but the hole and peg system for every hand. And then there we go. You have a normal, whatchamacallit, normal holding hand for the beam saber. So you can see there's actually a very good angle difference. This one's actually pretty holding up, and then you can actually, this one, you can hold it up tight. I mean, in a more normal stance. I'm not sure if the real grade, the normal Tallgeese gave this hand, but I say that's a very good consideration for this because even in some cases, the Tallgeese 2 is more considered of a close combat type rather than compared to the normal Tallgeese. So yeah. And I think that's pretty much it for the review. Now, if you bought the real grade Tallgeese, you're not missing out much, other than the new looks of the color and the head. But if you don't have a Tallgeese yet, RG Tallgeese yet, and you want to try Tallgeese 2, this is definitely a good one. Or if you're still waiting for a HD Tallgeese, but your patience is starting to wear off, this is also a good start. So anyway, this is a pretty good real grade Tallgeese, and yeah, once again, I'm gonna admit the real grade Tallgeese 2 is pretty good, and this version is also pretty okay for me. But once again, that doesn't mean I'm gonna try out more real grades time to time. It really depends on the bull suit. Anyway, I think I've covered everything up. Hopefully this review was helpful, and you guys enjoyed it. And I still have more stuff to buy and build and review, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!